Hello and welcome to the grand interview. Our guest today is the President of Burkina Faso, Captain Ibrahim Traoré. Your Excellency, hello, and thank you very much for accepting our invitation. It's a great honor to have you on our set. So, yesterday, you attended the May 9th parade. What are your impressions?
Hello, thank you. So we are here also for the commemoration of the 20th anniversary of the victory over Nazism. And as you said yesterday, we attended the ceremony, a parade, a wreath-laying ceremony at the tomb of the unknown soldier. And I think it's very symbolic. We learned a lot during these days. It was not just a celebration, but a celebration of the victory of a new world. So it means a lot to us.
But what do you think of the quality of the parade?
Yes, as I said, it was perfect. It's perfect, and it taught us a lot. And when you see the old ones who won the war, like the T-34, parading alongside modern equipment, it shows us the technological evolution of the army. And it also inspires us to get to work to develop in the same direction.
Were there certain things that surprised you, for example?
Surprised? Always surprised when you see technological advances. And recently, I think there's a new armor that has appeared in the rich military arsenal. We were able to see them pass, and I think that's very significant.
What is the significance of your presence as an African head of state? Because we know very well that many Africans contributed to the victory of the Allies in the Second World War.
Of course, as I said, Africans and Soviet soldiers contributed a lot to freeing the world from Nazism. And if the world hadn't been freed from Nazism, we don't know what would have become of it. And following the events, I saw that Russia alone lost 1 million soldiers on European soil fighting. Africa also gave our ancestors fought a lot on European theaters, mainly in France, Belgium, Italy, to free the world from Nazism. So it's a common history that we share.
How was the meeting with the Russian president?
So for now, we have had meetings, and in a short while, we will have a discussion, and it is going very well. And it is truly very courteous, friendly, fraternal, and that's all we ask for in any comment. So a new cooperation in this world.
But how would you describe the current state of bilateral relations?
Relations are going very well. And I can say that for 2 years now, relations have started very well. And we are deepening the defense and security aspects, but also the education and commercial aspects. So we have phased out the different aspects so that we can exchange a lot, share a lot of experiences, because we have a lot to learn from Russia in terms of education, especially in science.
Especially in science. But in which areas in particular?
Yes, there are many areas in science, be it mathematics, physics, chemistry. These are areas that interest us a lot in the development of our military industry, but also in the commercial development of our country and the economic development of our country. So we are trying to broaden these areas to better structure them.
And do you think there is a demand in Burkina for Russian education?
Of course, there are many Burkinabe students already here in the universities. I met some this morning, and I even asked for an increase in the number of students here, either through scholarships or Burkina, which is a country of scholarships, so that these students can come. But my goal is to establish similar universities in Burkina. And since there is already the Russian house, it will allow us to go very quickly.
Indeed. You just mentioned it today. You visited the Russian university. How was this visit?
It went very well. I had fruitful discussions with the Minister of Education, also with the rector and the students, especially the young people studying at this university. We had very good exchanges, and we talked a lot scientifically.
Speaking a little about the economy, the volume of trade has increased tenfold in 1 year. But on the other hand, these figures do not match the political dialogue. How do you explain this paradox and, above all, how do you boost these ties in the area of commerce, in fact?
As I said, it's a new relationship that begins with Russia.
Why you say new, excuse me?
Yes, It starts again, because since the years after the death of Sankara, unfortunately, relations with Russia have suffered a lot. And now we are reviving relations, the embassy is being established, and commercial relations are also at the heart of the exchanges. When I take, for example, a certain number of Burkinabe products that used to transit through certain European countries before being sold in Russia. Today, these products are directly sold through Burkinabe operators and Russian operators. I am talking notably about mangoes. Mangoes used to transit through European countries to be sold here. Today, it happens directly via cotton. There will be more to follow. There are many other products, sesame, and many other agricultural products that we can exchange directly with Russia. So it's only just begun. It will grow.
Absolutely. In fact, economic forecasts indicate a growth of 5.6% in 2025. So, what are the key sectors supporting this growth?
Well, it must be said that until today, in Burkina Faso, gold is the primary export product, but we have launched the engine of agriculture to achieve self-sufficiency, but also for foreign trade, export. And if you follow closely, since last year, we have launched the agricultural offensive with an initiative that supports the offensive. The objective is to significantly increase our agricultural production, to be self-sufficient, but also there are products that need to be sold abroad. And all of that will be able to support this growth, and we hope to be well above these figures.
But how are these reforms progressing, in fact?
There are many things. These are difficult reforms, it must be admitted, because a system has been put in place, but it is not impossible. Already, when you look at our cereal production, there has been very good growth in 2024 to 2025, and we hope to do even better. And these are quite courageous reforms. For example, regarding agricultural management, we have decided through the offensive initiative to plow our farmers' fields for free. So, we did it last year. This year again, it's the return platform. There are still a good number of tractors that we have acquired, which we will make available to mechanized units in the different departments to increase the acreage. Have you maximized a lot in water management through a structure we created to control water and be able to produce at least 3 times a year? Because if we depend solely on rain, it will be difficult. So there are these sectors, the mining sector also, that we will continue to boost so that the country, through its own resources, we have started to acquire mines. There are many permits there that we are developing. Our engineers have developed the necessary machines so that we can exploit our resources ourselves. So, if we take advantage of these two sectors and complement them with industrialization, that is, the transformation of our products on site, which will prevent us from exporting, that will bring us a lot, lead to very good growth. So these are the reforms that are underway: agriculture, industry, and many sectors.
Do you think Russia can provide support for the implementation of these reforms?
Of course, there is a lot of support, and Congress fears that technical and vocational training, that's already a very good thing. If we lose industries, we need people to maintain them and make them work, and Russia helps us in this area. That's why I say that we have very good cooperation with the Ministry of Education. It will allow us to train technicians and engineers who should be able to maintain everything we do, but also create our own industrial units. So that's very important for us. And in trade too, as I just said, with Russia, it's going very well, and there's no reason why we shouldn't deepen all of this.
Speaking a little about security, what is the current security situation in your country and indeed in the region?
Yes, in the region, as you know, the security situation, just as we are trying to evolve on the battlefields. That's the first thing, because there are several factors that come into play on the battlefield. There is progress. If we look from 2020, even today, we have been able to recover many areas that we have been able to pacify. Nevertheless, the enemy is also strengthening. Many foreign fighters are joining the ranks of the terrorists.
Can you elaborate or talk about what?
For the terrorists, they are reinforced by many foreign fighters who come from elsewhere, who are not, in fact. When I take the case of Burkina, there are many criminals in Burkina, but who are not Burkinabe. There are also trainers who come from many countries to teach many techniques.
But what's their interest?
But it's not terrorism, it's imperialism. Their goal is to keep us in a permanent war so that we cannot develop and they can continue to plunder. So they have every interest in bringing specialists in mines to lay various tons of mines. Explosive specialists. Today, terrorists use drones to fight and everything. So these are professionals from certain countries who come to teach them all this. All this is to continue to keep us in a state of insecurity. Even by understanding the situation, we adapt to their mode of action each time, and we will continue the fight until we occupy the entire Sahel.
Are there specific countries that finance these fighters?
All imperialist countries finance these fighters. There are many of them, and we cannot name them individually. There are some who are even hidden that we cannot imagine. But they are many. They are.
There are those who are not hidden and who declare it openly. I'm talking about the recent scandal with the support of terrorism in Mali. What is your view on what happened?
It's unfortunate. They openly declared that they support the terrorists. And we have also been able to actually notice that with a certain number of technologies that the terrorists have been able to acquire, that it comes from them. It's unfortunate and very unfortunate. But the fact remains that we don't rely on our fate, and we have taken the measure of the situation. We will adapt. We will fight it. We will not be able to win. That's the most important thing.
How is humanitarian cooperation between Burkina Faso and Russia continuing?
It's going very well, and I think there are a lot of exchanges on many fronts. When I take the health sector, because we still have displaced people there, and when you have displaced people, it means the health situation is often complicated. And I think the health service cooperates well to be able to support the service and humanitarian action to move forward. And you followed in 2023, I think Russia sent wheat to Burkina Faso. It was solely intended for displaced people, but we made a promise to President Putin that we no longer wish to be supplied with wheat because we are going to produce wheat. And I am keeping this promise because we have started producing our wheat in quantity. It is necessary to satisfy the demand, which means that cooperation, if you will, leads us ourselves to develop, to boost many things to fill the void.
In the face of current geopolitical tensions, notably the tariff war between the United States and China, how is Burkina Faso adapting its economic and diplomatic strategy?
So this world in perpetual change, it's madness. Often, the choice of what we see. We must remain vigilant and be able to adapt at all times. And that's very important because we follow the news. There's an economic battle everywhere. But a priori, we know China. We buy a lot of things. China and the Chinese. China will settle here. There are Chinese companies setting up here. Despite the fact that people will try to denigrate Burkina Faso. It's the same with Russia now. So all the countries that are fighting today for their economic independence, and we are trying to collaborate better with these countries because it's a form of oppression of imperialism. And those who are oppressed should unite to face this hegemony. So a priori, we adapt to all these situations.
Mr. President, what is your view on the recent deterioration of relations with Algeria?
So, you followed the events, and I think everyone understands how it works. And we regret the incident that happened at the Algerian border with the drone that they shot down. It must be said clearly, it's not friendly. It's not friendly because no one shoots down a flying device like that when everyone knows the protocol. So, there's no hiding it. You just crossed the border. Even if it entered your country, it's identified. Radars allow to identify it, but we know which country it belongs to. And there are diplomatic relations for that. We contact the embassy. And there are defense attachés. There are many mechanisms. We contact them and they can confirm if it's a device or not, if it's over the territory. Maybe it needs help, or it lost its orientation and all that, because it doesn't look like it's in the air. It can have problems with the weather. It is forced to hide behind clouds. That happens very often in our countries, so it doesn't look like it. We ask for it. They say no. There's a lot of cloud cover, but in any case, a meteorological phenomenon that brings it to pass. It can have a technical problem. He can ask for help to land. So, there are so many factors that can make a device. It is in an airspace by systematically shooting down a device, as happened with us. We often saw an American device that entered our territory that was doing reconnaissance and all. We did not shoot down the device. We took the trouble to contact the American embassy, who took a few minutes. They confirmed to us that it was their device and they cleared the area. So we did not automatically talk about it. So it was a deliberate, unfriendly act to shoot down the device. It's regrettable.
But if I understand correctly, you are not closing the door to dialogue nonetheless.
No, leaders must understand that we have no choice but to unite in the face of this so-called terrorism. Because it is a rather complex phenomenon. And I tell you that Burkina was also in 2012 looking at Mali. The regime in place was friendly with these people. Some even lived here before going. That's the reality. But what's happening today? They turned against us. They are not free people. They are manipulated by imperialists and the orders they are given. They give their criminals on the ground, they do it. So everyone must understand that we must unite to face them. There is no possible negotiation with these people.
Indeed, speaking of this unity, or rather this integration that is currently taking place, where are we currently?
It's going well, it's evolving. So we are in the Confederation. And when I say there are many things to put in place, well, and you shouldn't try to go too fast, that's not good. So we are progressing gradually. There are many structures to set up, there are many aspects to bring up to standard in the three countries, because you are aware that from an economic point of view, we are not at the same level. From a military point of view, there are many aspects we must try to balance them. And so that requires the implementation of many structures, many meetings, and free movement requires a certain number of parameters to put together. You have, and we have done a lot of work to arrive at a single security document for travel and everything. So it is evolving, so it's going very well.
Precisely. I had a question about the economic aspect. Is the creation of a currency specific to the AES still on the agenda?
Yes, it's definitely on the agenda, and so the process continues. And there are many things, as I have many details to settle before getting there, but it's definitely on the agenda. We can. If we talk about sovereignty, we necessarily need that sovereignty, so it's imperative.
Can we expect an expansion of the AES?
Yes, in the future. But for now, as I said, we ourselves must harmonize many things. Really lay the foundations, because there will be many additional protocols, if you notice, to harmonize our policies, be it diplomatic or economic policy. There are many policies to harmonize before allowing someone to join.
But are there already countries that are interested in your format?
Countries are interested. So it could be, maybe I don't know. For now, the president of the federation is the Malian president. He can give an opinion on the matter, but there are countries that are interested.
How do you explain the decline of French influence in the region? Not only in the Sahel, but also in West Africa, for example.
I think they themselves contributed to the decline of their influence, because they have a paternalistic conception of our relations. You see, when you take everything we do, everything we take as an initiative, then it's Russia and they are influenced by Russia. Everything that happened, Russia, why are their eyes closed like that? So Africans are not capable of developing something. Africans are not capable of inventing, innovating, taking initiatives. That's what we are fighting. And as long as they continue to see Africa like that, as a subhuman who is not capable of thinking, who is not capable of innovating, capable of inventing, we can never be friends. China. Times have changed, so it's the very vision they have of black people. They must stop that, because by treating us like that, it's as if they see black people as subhumans. And that's dangerous. They must change their language.
But how is this attitude evident?
Look at their speeches. Look at the speech. Even the French president, always in his speeches, says that young Africans are influenced by Russia. He says Western media, you often listen to them. They spend their time lying. And look today at what a model is emerging. They cannot wake up from morning to evening without talking about Burkina. Talking about Islam, it's impossible for them. And each time, they try to send information to divide, to manipulate the youth. But that no longer works. I think people are quite aware, and you are all victims of these people. The communication, what they do, what they say about Russia and everything, are we just trying to? Today, there are young Africans whose eyes are still closed, accusing them of lying about the stories of the Second World War. I heard someone say the other day that at the end of the war, in the 10 years that followed, if you asked in Europe who won the war, people would say it was Russia. But today, if you ask in Europe who won the war, they will say it was the Westerners, through communication and overturning history and African history too. They orchestrated everything to pass off lies. And that means that young Africans, some don't even know the history of Africa. What did Africa do? Some don't even know that our grandparents fought, were put on the front line as cannon fodder, and upon their return, they killed them like animals. Do people know that when France experimented with its first atomic bomb, they put black soldiers next to it in the lethal radius to see the effect it had? Let's bring out the archives, all they used against Africa. So, there's all that needs to be communicated so that young Africans, because many are still asleep and continue to communicate for the imperialists, what they say and do, they do it perhaps because, well, they're involved in something I don't know. But Africans must understand their history. It happened, and so that's our fight too.
What is the role of the media in this fight, in your opinion?
Independent media from our country, you mean? The media should participate a lot in helping us, but you see that even the media, there are some media that are imperialist media. They are only like that when European media, when they say something and they repeat it and emphasize it. There are many media in the country that fight the regime as the regime and also spend their time telling the same nonsense that Western media tell. But it's shameful if Africans behave like that. It's very shameful. I imagine they must be ashamed to look at themselves in the mirror at night if you're paid to tell lies about black people. That's very serious. So in terms of raising awareness in Burkina Faso, if you see currently many media, then accompany the dynamic. Participate in raising awareness among young people through debates and all. So that's what we really want for the media.
Do you think our media can also play its role in this fight?
Of course, a lot. It must play a very important role because, I said it in 2023 in St. Petersburg and I repeat it again today. Russia contributed to saving the world. Africa contributed to saving the world. It must be said, young people must understand that everything that's told in Hollywood movies, it's false. It's nothing but lies. It's the same with the Vietnam War. Today, we see history is distorted, but we must communicate. You see, they don't like me talking too much. They think I talk too much and all that. So that I despise, so that they talk, and their version gets through, no? My biggest regret is having spent a good part of my youth listening to radios, like RFI France 24. I have been in countries where these radios were closed, but we took applications. We went there to listen to the news. But at some point, there was a click, and I started to understand that they condition our brains to accept what they want. It's a narrative cinema that they want us to learn. And for 7 years, I have started to differentiate things, and I understood that what they are doing is very dangerous. And today, more than ever, I realize that they have conditioned the minds, especially of Africans. So you can participate to awaken the consciences of young people so that people understand how the world works, and not let themselves be carried away by these people.
My very last question, just to conclude on a positive note, what are the prospects for relations between Russia and Burkina Faso?
Many prospects to come. And as I said with the parade I think there is very good cooperation because it's good. Currently, we are paying for equipment, but we need to develop the military industry, for example, and Russia can contribute a lot. And with Russia, there are many scientists, scholars who are rich. The proof, we just left the Maglev University. And then they accompany us a lot in training to also prevail, because at home we have young, talented geniuses who manage to create things. But they lack the mathematical approach, the science, to improve what they do. And so Russia can help us a lot in this area. It will help us on the military side, on the industrial side, because machines make the world go round. And today's technology, whether it's IT, networks, telecommunications, and whatever you want, Russia has an interest in collaborating. So in the future, all these prospects are on the agenda so that we can achieve a certain objective that we wish for.